C-U-A-U-H-T-L-I. So everyone, Cuauhtli? Temo? Temo means to descend, to come down, to swoop down. Cuauhtemo. He, she, it descends like how? Like an eagle. I'm sorry? Of course, fallen eagle, or falling eagle, someone who didn't know Nahuatl just made a wild guess.
So why did they add a C to the name?
Good question, because there is a, in Nahuatl, you know, the N-I, let's say, well, Temo, one who descends, Temoni, Temo to descend, Temoni, one who descends. The preterite stem, it's a special stem, very often ends in C, means the same thing. So, Temoni and Temok mean the same thing, one who descends. Cuauhtemok, one who descends like an eagle. My take is this, that it's an epithet, a name for someone who was a very skilled fighter. Have you seen an eagle in nature programs, for example, swoop down and get its prey? I can just imagine, you know, that's the idea, the image. But fallen eagle, it does not mean that at all. It does not. It goes against the structure of Nahuatl. Right? And I think it's romanticized to a bit, to an extreme degree, I should say. Art historians in particular are fond of doing this. Aztecs, the people of the sun, right? And the sun is symbolized by the eagle, right? The Aztec Empire fell, right? And who was the last? So that's a fallen eagle. And who was the last of the emperors, right? Cuauhtemok, there you have it, fallen eagle. There's only one problem there. Cuauhtemok doesn't mean that. It just doesn't. Right? If you wanted to say fallen eagle, you would have to put eagle at the end. Right? The last word is the one that matters. Cuauhtli. What kind of a Cuauhtli? A fallen one. And how would you say fallen? Temok. You'd have to put Temok at the beginning. But you would normally connect it with what is called the ligature or connector, CA. Temok ka Cuauhtli. You could technically leave it out, Temok Cuauhtli, but Cuauhtli would have to come at the end. That's it. Doesn't work any other way.
So the spelling of Cuauhtemok with the C at the end is correct?
Yes, absolutely. It is what we call a preterite stem. Yeah.
I have a question. Is there another explanation to the word Yao?
Is there another explanation?
Does it mean something else? Can it mean something else?
Well, generally it means enemy. I mean, if you look up the earliest references to it in I'd say Spanish accounts and the word lists that were put together by Spanish priests for other Spanish priests, yeah, it means enemigo. Yeah.
How do you say warrior?
Well, you could say Yaochuhki, one, or Yaoyochuhki, one who makes war, right?
Okay. So like
and Yaoyot is, Yot, I'll get to in a second. Yot is an abstract suffix. So Yaot is enemy. Yaoyot, literally the state of being an enemy or enemyhood, in other words, warfare.
Would the word challenger work again as Yao?
I suppose it could.
Reading it in context of how it's used in different documents.
And that's a good point. There is a distinction to be made between transliteration and translation. Transliteration is when you simply match words. And sometimes that works, a lot of times it doesn't. Let me give you an example, very obvious to you. Transliterate buenos dias into English. Transliterate, just match the words.
Good days.
Good days. Now translate it.
good day.
Good morning. Right? In other words, you're not concerned about the words in translation, you're concerned about the meaning. What is the meaning, right? Transliterate means when you match words. Translate is when you carry across the meaning. So, what about this? Transliterate this into Spanish. Break a leg. Rompete una pierna. Now translate. Good luck. Good luck. Yao. If we want to transliterate enemy, and it also works as a translation. Are there other translations possible? I think so.
It's like the one that you used with Quetzalcoatl. You know, it's kind of like it's not feather because
no.
But you see it in all the books. It all says.
Of course,
it
absolutely,
says
yeah, sure.
Feather, and yet it's not.
It's not. Yeah. Well, Coat itself. Coat, okay, we can say it means twin and it means snake. It does refer to snake, it does refer to twin. But beyond that, you'll find many instances where the idea is things that go together, right? So, for example, the Florentine Codex, remember I mentioned that they talk about the earth itself. All right, forests, los bosques, that's what Father Bernardino put in his margin. And the title in the Nahuatl is Cuauh Coatl. Cuauh is trees. Coat, tree snake, no. If this Cuauh means forest and Cuauh means tree, then what is Coat? A bunch of, right? A group of trees. So Coat there clearly doesn't mean snake and it doesn't mean twin. And you have to look for that sort of thing. So
context is important.
Absolutely, you have to do that. And you know what, I'll tell you one thing. In Nahuatl, we don't have the benefit of this tradition of scholarship that we do find in, let's say, in classical Greek and in classical Latin. I've mentioned this several times already in other talks. But if you take a look at the Oxford Classical Dictionary, Latin Dictionary or Greek Dictionary, that's put together by committees of full-time scholars working on that only. Huge things like this. There's no such thing for Nahuatl at all. No such thing. One of my purposes in putting that concise dictionary together, when Hippocrene Books contacted me was, well, I interrupted what I was doing to do that, to stimulate, maybe getting together of people who are interested in this and trying to come up with something like the classical Greek and Latin dictionaries that have been around for a very long time, because they give you an idea of the different contexts, and what the words actually mean. The word cum, for example, in Latin, which means with, it's got about 2 or 3 pages of commentary in that dictionary. We don't have that for the Nahuatl. So what you have to do is a lot of pioneer work. You have to take a look at this, you have to take a look at that, and figure out more or less what the sense is. That's why I'm so enthusiastic about teaching this class at Northridge, because we get new blood in, right, who are not inhibited, who are not limited by the parameters of a discipline, right? And people ask questions and they suggest other translations, and it works, it just absolutely works. The greatest contributions have been made by people from outside of the discipline.
Dr. Quetzalcoatl, beautiful duality?
Coatl?
Yeah, in terms of the image that's shown, sky, earth, maybe reference to creator?
Well, I think my own take is the following. First of all, let's take a look at the Quetzal. There is a representation of Quetzalcoatl, not the only one, as a snake, right, with or without the feathers. So I think what has happened is the following, that art historians, in looking upon this, they saw it, and what did they see? A snake with feathers, so they called it the feathered snake. You see the Nahuatl, Coat, snake, well, this must mean feather. But if you examine the actual context, jade, for example, Chalchihuitl. The best kind of jade was called Quetzal Chalchihuitl. That does not mean feathered jade. It means the most precious type of jade. The bird that they consider to be the most beautiful of them all, Tototl, bird, was called the Quetzal Tototl. It does not mean the feathered bird. It wouldn't make any sense. It means the most beautiful of all birds, right? And the feather of that bird, one of the words for feather is Ihuitl, was called the beautiful feather. Quetzal Ihuitl. That doesn't mean the feathered feather. It just doesn't make any sense. It means the beautiful feather. Obsidian, Itzli. The best kind of obsidian was called Quetzal Itzli. Does that mean feathered obsidian? No, it doesn't. It means the most precious type of obsidian. Here we have Coatl. Okay, what do you want Coatl to mean? Well, it depends. I think it can mean a pair. I think it can mean a complex, whatever. If you want, even a snake, with whatever that might symbolize. But Quetzal would have to mean something like precious or beautiful, that sort of thing. Whatever meaning you want to assign to Coatl is a different matter, but I think it's open to a lot of interpretations, the Coatl, but not the Quetzal. That's pretty clear. Yeah?